Hey friends, it's Just the Gems. I'm Brandon. I'm going to make a statement, and I don't think it's controversial. I'll be curious to see. But JRPGs are better now than I think they've ever been. And I'm extremely thankful to love this genre like I do, and to have this community of people around me that also love it and are enthusiastic about it. And I want to talk a little bit about kind of why I'm thankful for JRPGs as they are today, and why I think that it's really never been better to be a fan of JRPGs in the year 2024. So let's go ahead and get into it. Why don't we? Let's do it. So I'm kind of framing this around the idea of being thankful because this is Thanksgiving week in America when I'm filming this. To my Canadian friends, I refer to it as fake Thanksgiving because I know real Thanksgiving is in October, and I support you all in your thankfulness. But anyway, as I'm sitting here thinking about like why it is that I'm so happy to be a fan of this genre in the year 2024 compared to, you know, what a lot of people see as the glory days back in the mid to late 90s, early 2000s. It's astonishing how far we've come and the amazing games that we have to play that I don't think I could have even dreamed of when I was a teenager, early 20s. Like we are just blessed so incredibly richly with these incredible games, just amazing games. For a long time I was really cynical about the idea of Thanksgiving as a holiday. Like, I like the food, you know, cranberry sauce in the shape of a can, bring it on. I love it. I love this stuff. I know people are like mean about it, but like, it's delicious. I don't care if it's like fake or whatever. It's so good. I love it. It's like candy. But anyway, I just felt, you know, like the actual purpose of Thanksgiving, the kind of built-in reason for it, the idea of being thankful for the things in your life or whatever, just felt, I don't know, just felt silly to me that we needed a holiday to remind us to be thankful. But I don't know. Actually, I think it's probably not silly. Like, we make holidays for a reason, and it's to help remind us because life does get busy and crazy and complicated, and it's a decent idea every now and then to just chill out and think about stuff and be aware of it. So that's what I'm going to try to do as I put this kind of list of things together. So using this as a framing device, let's talk about why I think JRPGs are better than they've ever been. First of all, Final Fantasy, guys. Final Fantasy is back. Do you remember, okay, there was a time where there were no new Final Fantasy games. Not real mainline single-player Final Fantasy games, anyway. I know, you know, Final Fantasy 11 had its fan base. 14 is crazy and has a massive fan base that spans the entire world, and people love it. I've tried a few times to get into it. I can't. It's not for me. And that's okay. That's totally fine. If you love it, I love that for you because you are having a great experience and I'm missing out. But there was a time where, especially between like Final Fantasy 13 and 15, where there just weren't Final Fantasies coming out for people like me, for people that love that single player narrative driven experience of a Final Fantasy that we grew up with. It wasn't a thing anymore. And that's like awful. It's just like, what a terrible time, right? And, you know, 15 came along, and, you know, I loved 15. And I know that that's controversial, bad take. Oh, Brandon, what terrible taste do you have for liking this game? It's fine, whatever. Like, you can hate it. I get it. I understand, actually. I legitimately understand the reasons that people don't like it. I just think that the reasons they don't like it are actually reasons why it's good. It doesn't matter. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're thankful. We look at this past year, just over the last 12 months, how we've had just an abundance of riches when it comes to Final Fantasy. Like, not only 16 earlier, but like Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth coming along and just like sucker punching me in the nostalgia. Like, ouch. Like, incredible. Just one of the very best video game experiences I've ever had. And yeah, you know, a portion of that is nostalgia, right? I love Final Fantasy 7. It's, you know, it varies from time to time, but it's sometimes, often even my favorite Final Fantasy going back to childhood. But it's just the definitive telling of that story. And to think that we would have a game that looks as good as that plays as good as that sounds as good as that, everything about it is just a beautiful, beautiful experience. I didn't even care about the Kate Sith box part. That was fine. It was a little tricky. It wasn't my favorite part, but it was fine. Like, whatever. It didn't ruin it for me. How lucky are we that we get to be alive over the billions of years of this universe's existence, that we're born during a time when we can experience Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? That's crazy. Mathematically impossible that we would be born during that time. I'm just grateful that I get to experience that and just have that rush of nostalgia and adrenaline and just pure joy playing through that game. I love it. I love it so much. So, Final Fantasy. Thank you. Thank you for coming back, Final Fantasy. I missed you. Another reason that I'm extremely grateful and why I think that JRPGs are better than they ever have been, the Trails series. Let me say it again for the people in back that didn't hear me. The Trails series. Trails, okay? Kiseki, if you are a Japanese fan and are for some reason watching my channel, you understood one word there, and I'm happy for you. The Trails series is something that I could have only dreamed of when I was a kid, growing up in the golden era of JRPGs, right? Your Chrono Trigger, your Final Fantasy VI. A game series that is that long-running, that contains such an in-depth, interwoven narrative throughout the entirety of it. Like, amazing characters, just frankly astonishing gameplay, how it's grown over the years up to the iteration we have in Daybreak, where it's legitimately one of the most fun games I've played in recent memory. Like, I'm just in awe of how they have been able to craft this experience. And we didn't have things like that back in the day, right? Back in the 90s and the early 2000s, like, sure, games were smaller, like developers were still learning the ropes of game development. It hadn't been a thing for that long. But using the knowledge that they've gained over those years, making those incredible games, don't get me wrong, the incredible games from the early days, the 90s, 2000s, that they could come out with stuff like this that's just like so mind-blowing. And I'm just in awe of what they've been able to do. Like, is Trails a little bloated sometimes? Occasionally, right? It's very long. But, it's like that good bloat, like that post-Thanksgiving dinner bloat where you're like, oh my gosh, I feel so full, but I am so content. And there's a football game on the television that I don't care about, but I'm going to kind of recline here on this lazy boy and fall asleep. And I couldn't ask for anything more. And that's how I feel with Trails. It's amazing. I love it. I was going to say also Ys, but I think just Falcom and NIS America in general, like, not only have they always brought me my favorite games, like, Ys is probably my favorite action RPG series now. And I only just started playing them a few years ago. Like, I had missed them up until, I think 2021 or something is when I finally buckled down and played through all of them. But it's probably my favorite action RPG series now. Trails is my favorite, more traditional, it's complicated, but my favorite RPG series. And Falcom making these games, NIS America producing these games and bringing them out over here in English with just like an exceptional level of quality in terms of like the localization, the performances from the voice actors, the direction, just the casting. Everything is so good. And so there's that. And then my whole experiences thus far with NIS America, since I started doing YouTube, like going out to do a couple of conventions with them and speak on the panels with some really incredible folks, and just like stuff that I would not have dreamed possible when I started doing YouTube, certainly, and before that even less so. Like, it's just been, they were already like my favorite publisher, right, of Japanese games, and now like they've just really solidified themselves as just an all-timer, and I'm so grateful for them and the stuff that they bring over here. Again, stuff that we did not see when we were younger. If you were my age or thereabouts, like growing up in the 90s, we had some great games, but we did not have games like this. We didn't. Also, in thinking about JRPGs and the games that we play and how we play them, I feel like one of the big transformations of the industry that has made a huge difference is first and foremost the introduction of the Switch, right? Having the ability to play a game on your television and then take it physically out of the dock and continue to play it handheld wherever you need to be, or if somebody else is watching television, you want to pop headphones on and continue playing. Like, it's just an amazing thing to be able to do that, to have these sorts of rich experiences that you expect from a full-scale console game and to be able to play it handheld. It's just amazing. And the fact that we have that option first with the Switch is incredible. And I want to give special mention as well to the PlayStation Portal, which I think got a lot of unfair criticism as it was coming out shortly after it came out, because it's just a streamer. Like, who needs that? They should make a dedicated portable handheld system that will play its own games and blah, 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 blah. It's like, they don't need to do that. It's fine. It's fine. It's just, it's a streaming device. Like, it's cool. You know, like, it can just be what it is. It doesn't have to be that other thing that people think it should be. And for what it is, you know, a streaming device that lets you play PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4, play PlayStation games sitting in bed away from the television. It's just, it's incredible, especially for, you know, JRPGs have come a long way. It's another thing that I'm grateful for is how, you know, much the gameplay systems of JRPGs have grown over the years. They're far less grindy, but there's still elements of grind to a lot of games, and no grinding experience is better to me than one in which I can just kind of recline with this device in my hands. It's so comfortable, right? It's literally just a DualSense controller with a screen down the middle of it, so I can just sit back, play the game, grind away. It's the best. Like, we have these options now to play these games in such convenience, just convenience. And it never would have occurred to me as something that was possible back in the day. On top of that, I want to also mention the Steam Deck. I have a Steam Deck and I love it. Like, one of the coolest handheld devices ever. Like, it's, you know, it's more of a pure dedicated handheld device, obviously, than like the PlayStation Portal, which is just a streamer. The Steam Deck is, you put your games on there and you play it. Like, it's awesome. And the fact that so many games are now cross-platform with PC, like, if you prefer to play on PC, you have so many more options for JRPGs than you ever did. Like, you can play most every single big new JRPG that comes out, and honestly, plenty of them that consoles don't get. Like, we're talking, you know, smaller indie games maybe, and the level of quality is going to be all over the place for sure. But like, just the sheer number of games, the sheer number of options available to somebody with the PC and or with a Steam Deck is just mind-blowing. It's incredible how many choices we have now as far as JRPGs go. I remember, sounding so old. This whole video, I'm just sounding so old. I remember when, you know, JRPGs were so niche. We felt so lucky to get any game brought to the West. We were like shouting from the rooftops how happy we were that like Lufia 2 came out, or Paladin's Quest, or what, you know what I mean? Like it was just wow, I can't believe we got this game. And we would see in Nintendo Power and other magazines these incredible looking games that we were like, okay, they haven't announced a US release, it's probably not going to happen, you know. And we just had to kind of live with that. Like, we weren't ever going to get that game because it was just too beautiful for this world, right? Just too beautiful to exist here. And that's not really a problem anymore. Like, I'm sure there are games that don't make it across, but like, for the most part, we're getting everything. Like, we get access to so many games that we never would have received in the past. And that is incredible. As a JRPG fan, we are sitting pretty. We're living large right now. And the last thing I want to mention, as far as, you know, something I'm grateful for / why JRPGs to me are better than they have ever been, and that is the podcast that I get to be a part of, the JRPG Pursuit, where every week I get to sit down with my friends Emily and Abdallah and just geek out about this genre, about these games. Like, for so many years, from the time I was 8, 9, 10, and was starting to really get into JRPGs, I had literally no one to talk to about these games until I was in my mid-30s. So think about it, 20 plus years of just having to keep it all inside, right? And now not only do I have a YouTube channel where I can talk to you guys about these games that we share a mutual affection for, but like I've made IRL friends, through this that I can talk to about these games, and we can just go nuts and gush about how much we love them and the things that we hate about them and the things that we wish were different, and just like so many things that I never got a chance to do growing up or well into my adulthood, into middle age, never got to do. So I'm just like grateful doesn't even describe it, right? Like this is life-changing for me, like literally life-changing. Like getting to have this podcast, have this channel, have a community of people around that are enthusiastic about it with me, that care about it, that want to talk about it and engage with it. Like, it's just the best thing. It's the best thing I could have done. So yeah, I mean, this is obviously very personal and doesn't apply to everyone. It really just applies to me. But JRPGs have never been better for all the reasons I said before, but also just because I have this community now that I can talk about them with. And nothing beats that. Nothing beats that in my mind. It's just the best. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you got a little bit of enjoyment out of this. If it made you think about how JRPGs are today versus how they were in the past when we really didn't get the things that we wanted and there were so many fewer games available to us. It was a different time, and we're just super fortunate to be here now and to live during this time when we just get so many JRPGs every single year. And I mean, 2024 in particular has just been crazy. Like, okay, calm down, like it's maybe too much, right? Maybe too much. Let me know down in the comments if you agree, if you think that JRPGs are better than they've ever been. If you disagree, I'd love to know why. What games do you think kind of stand tall above all of the modern games that have been coming out the past few years? I'd love to hear it. Love to have a conversation down in the comments. If you wouldn't mind liking the video, if you got some enjoyment out of it, and if you're not already subscribed, if you've watched a couple of videos, 3, 4 videos, and you're coming back, I would just really appreciate it if you'd subscribe. It means so much. It just affects a lot of things that I never would have thought. So if you wouldn't mind subscribing, ringing the bell if you want for notifications or whatever, like that just really helps the channel out so much. So thank you. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the holidays. If you're watching this prior to the holidays, if you're watching it after the holidays, I hope you enjoyed the holidays. If you're watching this and you're nowhere near the holidays, I hope you have a good one. A good afternoon, night, day, morning. I think I covered it. All right. Anyway, bye.